Welcome to another episode of DMV 360. Well, she has danced across many stages and now she is hitting the big screen. I sit down with a local choreographer and talk about her new venture, calling all cosplayers. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't want to miss my stop in Virginia at this year's Blerdcon. If you or a family member are in need of mental health help or support, you don't want to miss our Mind Over Matter segment, where I sit down with a local organization that is giving help and hope. Hey, I didn't forget about my foodies, so sweet tooth lovers, stay tuned. And our Spotlight Person of the Week says a setback is just a setup for a comeback. All that coming up next on DMV 360. Let's see that again from the top. 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. Walk, 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 walk. Don't be late, don't be late, don't be late. Her passion for the arts is as strong as her work ethic that has produced so many success stories throughout the DMV. But on March 16th, when the world came to a halt, she started giving birth to 33rd in Memphis.
33rd in Memphis came out of me being stuck in the house during the pandemic. March 16th, the world shut down. We didn't know what was going on. It was a trying time for everyone. And like most creatives, we retreat to our passion. And that's what I did. My brother gave me a jazz album. He sent it to me on Spotify, and I started listening to it. And as I was listening to it, this script just started, these characters, the script just started pouring out of me. And I started writing every day till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I would call my mom on FaceTime because I couldn't even see her at the time. And I would say, hey, what do you think about this scene? What do you think about, like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm putting it together. 2 weeks later, I had a script for 33rd in Memphis.
A movie about purpose, passion, and redemption, Cosby says the story also deals with the crossroads we will all face in life.
33rd in Memphis, though, is about a young kid who wants to dance. And that has been his passion, that's been his desire, that's what he's wanted to do. Unfortunately, because of some situations and issues, he's not able to do that. So, unbeknownst to his mom and dad, he comes to an academy to learn how to dance behind their backs. And what happens is he ends up being so ambitious, so overly ambitious, that he does some things that are out of character for him, and some things that go against everything that he's been taught in his upbringing. And it's about a story. It's a story not only just about your purpose and your passion, but it's also a redemption story. It's also about living like you're not dying. And there are so many people that are actually not living. They're breathing, they have a pulse, they're alive, but they're not living. And so this story encompasses all of that.
She grew up in a household where music, dance, and production were always part of her life. Following the footsteps and guidance of her mom, choreographer Shawn Cosby started dancing when she was 7 and now is the artistic director and owner of Center Stage Academy for the Arts, where the young and the old can get professional training in several areas in the arts.
We have everything. The only things we don't have is because we don't have a bigger space right now. But we have vocal performance instruction. We have a wonderful vocal performance instructor, Juliet Lowry. We teach ballet, contemporary by Miss Candace Foreman. We teach an advanced contemporary class, Miss Shalise Hemby. And we teach musical theater and acting for television and film, which is taught by my mother, Miss Shawn Cosby. And I'm sorry, Shawn Cosby. And then myself, I'm the artistic director, so I deal specifically with the companies. We house 2 companies. One is the Showbiz Kids, which are the little ones that are fantastic, and then the Showbiz Next Generation Dancers, which I take care of all of them.
As co-director, 33rd in Memphis is a dream come true for her, shining the light on performers throughout the DMV like 16-year-old Evan Crawley.
Well, I dance, sing, and act at the same time, so all of it is a release. The arts is a release for me. I know that when I come in here, it's a judgment-free zone. I can try my best in everything I do without anybody judging me, and they push me forward. This academy pushes me forward, and the arts pushes me forward as a person. So not only do I improve as a performer, but I also improve as a person whenever I hit the stage. I'm beyond excited. I'm beyond blessed. I can't thank Ms. Shawn enough for the opportunity. I've been waiting for it. You have no idea. I was one of the first people to ask for it. So to hear for it to finally be coming out, I'm very psyched. I got my blazer stuff ready. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very excited to walk on that red carpet.
What are you hoping that the audience, viewers, walk away with after watching the film?
The most important thing is that I want people, so 33rd and Memphis actually means the cross street. It's the intersection. Everybody faces an intersection in their life where they have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go right? Are you gonna go left? Are you gonna keep straight?
Yeah.
One thing you can never do at an intersection is stand still.
Yeah.
That's never an option. So you gotta go right, left, or forward. You can't back up and you cannot stand still. I want people to look at the intersections that they face in their life. I've met so many people that are seasoned and say, I've always wanted to do this, I was just afraid. And I go, and they say, well, what is the first step? I say, step. Someone asked me the other day, I want to be a writer. How do I become a writer? Write. You can't stand still. So I want people to really take a look at their intersections, wherever they are, whatever that may be for you. It doesn't even have to be in the arts, but the intersection of wherever you are in your life, make a decision. Because whatever the decision you make, and some of us have made lefts when we were supposed to make rights, and some of us gone straight when we were supposed to make rights or left. Whatever it is, God's going to get you back on track.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to step. You just have to move. You just have to make the right or make the left or go forward. So that's the most important thing.
Coming up next.
You know, they say a lot about opening up black spaces for people, and there's been a ton of representation, but not so much in the con world, still to this day, I believe.
You know, a lot more people are willing now to talk about mental health, mental illness, and to share what they are experiencing. So in that sense, it's good because we find more people reaching out.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Well, you guys, I am right across the bridge here in Crystal City, and I am at the 5th annual Blerdcon. Now, if you've never heard of Blerdcon before, you are not alone. But DMV 360 is here to give you a little glimpse of what you missed. So the theme was homecoming here at the 5th annual Blerdcon as the marching band opened the festivities. Now, I was blown away by this 3-day event that celebrates and highlights Black nerd culture, cultivated for and by minorities to commune and fellowship with other pop culture enthusiasts over the fandom they are passionate for.
It's a Black-centered convention. It is the only convention where Black talent, Black creatives are front and center.
I love being here. It's just the vibe is really great. I don't ever feel like I'm out of place.
There was so much to take in. My mind was overwhelmed with the amazing cosplay outfits, dance battles, 24-hour arcades, movie screenings, food trucks, merch vendors, and a chance to meet and mingle with the celebrities and influencers in the Blerd community.
It's just always a great community. We always meet so many wonderful people. There's always like a million things to do.
I think it represents community. The fact that everyone can come together with the fact that we all like anime, we all like cartoons, and that's not something that we could have done like 10 years ago. It was like a weird, but now everyone's here and it's cool.
I feel like it's definitely given space for people who are blerds, aka Black nerds, to come out and just be their like original selves, like their most authentic selves without feeling like anybody's judging them.
With fandom conventions making a strong return since the pandemic, it felt like a family reunion amongst attendees.
I'm seeing friends that I haven't seen in a while, and plus during COVID, it's really been something special.
it feels like home, really. I'm a cosplayer, and I love it here. It's like family every time I show up. I actually drive from Connecticut because that's where I live, but it's worth it every time I come.
I always go to Blerdcon, so this is like my con of the year.
Now, as comic books, video games, and anime have become more mainstream, and the characters that inhabit those stories, it has made the expression of the celebration more acceptable.
Well, this is Wonder Woman from the Justice League animated series specifically, and that was my favorite show growing up. And I've always loved the animated Batman movies and the new Wonder Woman movies as well, so I love her. She's 6'2", Amazonian, I love her. You know, they say a lot about opening up black spaces for people, and there's been a ton of representation, but not so much in the con world, still to this day, I believe. And I think this is a really great opportunity for everyone to come together and just be geeks and nerds and dress up and fellowship, really.
For me personally, I will say for years I have been nervous about doing specific cosplays because of my skin tone, but at this convention where everyone's black, I know there's not going to be a problem, and I feel completely comfortable wearing whatever cosplay I want, regardless of how I actually look.
It's a very safe space for black cosplayers, for black nerds, because you don't always feel so included in the bigger cons than the other cons. So this is a nice space that's been meant to be inclusive for all of us.
Every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. With your help, we can end breast cancer. We are all stronger together.
Welcome back to DMV 360. Mental illness affects everyone, regardless of age, race, religion, or economic status. Mental illness impacts the lives of thousands in our county and beyond. People living with mental illness need help and hope. They need a community that supports them, their families, and their recovery. And DMV 360 is dedicated on shining the light on mental health awareness. And joining me in the studio is JB Moore, Executive Director of NAMI, and Antonio Bullock, who is a volunteer and a board director as well. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. As you know, we could talk about this for hours and hours about mental health awareness, mental health support, services that are out there. But I want to make sure that people know that NAMI is out here. We have an affiliate here in Prince George's County. Tell us a little bit about what NAMI is and, well, first of all, what it is, what the organization is.
NAMI Prince George's County is the local affiliate of the national organization, National Alliance on Mental Illness. The organization has been around in Prince George's County since 1981. And what we do is we provide peer support, peer education, advocacy, and community outreach to inform people about the challenges of mental illness and the support that's needed for families who are impacted.
And you're not just a board member, Mr. Bullock. You're actually a parent that walked through the doors of NAMI as well. How impactful has that been for you and your family?
It's been very impactful, instrumental. When I had at the onset of my son's condition, I was just at a loss. I didn't know where to turn. It was not something that I'd ever considered. Or thought about until you're confronted with it. And so thank goodness for the internet. I just got on the internet and sort of just Googled, treatment and support, for mental health, and NAMI popped right up.
Yeah.
And for me, I had to wrap my head around the situation with educating and arming myself with information. So I contacted the affiliate and learned about the resources that they have for education. And so I took the 10-week class. It's a 10-week course, and that's for family members who are supporting a loved one or someone with mental health issues, mental illness, and that's where this whole journey began for me with NAMI.
Yeah, most definitely. What do you say to somebody, or what do you say to a family member that walks in the door or gives you a call now or attends a Zoom meeting now, and they just don't know where to go? What does that process look like when you contact the organization?
First of all, we just embrace them and let them know that they're in the right place. They found NAMI. Once you find NAMI, you found a family of support.
Good.
Yes, you found a family of support, and so we can communicate coming from the same experience as a family member.
Yeah.
And that really seems to help a lot. And then we are able to share the resources that have been helpful to us. And then from there, we take it from there and see what other needs that they have.
How can we kind of knock that stigma of shame away? Even though I think COVID has done that a little bit,
Definitely.
but there's still, and just like we were saying in the green room, it's acceptable to say that I'm suffering from depression and I'm suffering from anxiety, and those are kind of like acceptable mental illnesses to kind of have. But when you start saying I suffer from paranoid schizophrenia and bipolar, those are the ones that people start going like this. How do you address that, and how do you make family members, as well as a person that might be dealing with that, come to terms with that and not carry that shame?
I think education and awareness is key. I mean, we let people know that 1 in 5 individuals are impacted by mental illness each year. 1 in 24 are have a serious mental illness, and 1 in 12 have a substance abuse disorder. So it's common. I mean, chances are someone. And so that kind of gets the ball rolling in terms of the stigma. We're all in this together, really. So education is key, I would say.
And I know both of you guys have family members that are dealing with mental illness, but how did you deal with that stigma?
For me, I didn't realize there was such a stigma. I mean, in our communities, growing up, I just refer to our experiences as just being a family person and just reflecting on, there's a lot of questions. Where did this come from? How did this happen? And as you go back, there's usually something within your family that you overlooked or was there that you didn't really pay attention to. So it's been around you your whole life. And it was just an awareness when this happens and it's front and center. For me, it was a lot of reflection and digging and a lot of discussion within my family. I started with my mother, with my father, and just went from there to see, like, this is an issue. Where did it come from? Were there other family members? Because we don't like to talk about things in our community.
Yeah,
right.
In the brown and black community.
Yes.
How do we break that barrier?
I think it's an ongoing. It's just doing what we're doing now. We're sitting down and we're having discussions and talking about it openly. And if we can be open and honest and break down the fear and that stigma, there's no shame, because COVID showed us that this can hit anyone at any time, young or old, regardless of age, race. We're human first.
How do we get the word out that there is an organization here in Prince George's County that can help them? Not just them who might be dealing with it, but family members as well.
Well, this opportunity right here is a great start, because what we do is we go out into the community. There are also like a lot of community events that we're invited to participate in. We go, we share information about the programs and services we have. We meet and greet people, and we invite them to become volunteers. We invite them to become members and supporters of our work. And that's what gives us the opportunity to kind of spread the word.
Terrific. I want to thank you guys so much for coming and joining me on DMV 360. Don't go away. We will be right back with more DMV 360. If you or a family member needs mental health help or support, contact NAMI Prince George's at namipgc.org or call 240-467-5948. Coming up next.
Chocolate. I love chocolate.
Everybody loves chocolate, yeah. So that's how I've changed it. But I kept true to my roots. I kept true to, how my grandmother made things, how she prepared and prepped and things of that nature.
It's those moments of adversity where you become the best version of you if you refuse to cower to your fears.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
One of the things that I love about doing DMV 360 is that I get to travel all around the Beltway, meeting people that are living out their dreams. And just nestled right on Baltimore Avenue is a queen that is serving up pure Sweet Indulgence.
Well, I got started when I basically got laid off from my job, and I went back to what I love, feeding people, baking for my family and neighborhood friends.
But her true culinary beginnings began at home, watching her mom and grandmother in the kitchen.
I learned from my grandmother and my mom. And then I went on to culinary school and got a certificate in that. And then I ended up working at MGM National Harbor as a pastry chef there under a French pastry chef, Sylvain Forlatini.
The parlor-style bakery has a nostalgia feel of its own, and Queen says she wants everyone who walks in to feel at home.
When you walk into Pier Sweet Indulgence, you're going to have an experience, and that experience is going to be from the moment you enter this door. First of all, with customer service, great customer service. I'm going to welcome you in. You're coming home.
You really want people to feel at home.
Yes, you're coming home. Home to get a great meal, a home-cooked meal that is pure, is sweet. You will indulge in it, and just come in and have a seat over there, and we're going to have some great conversation just to get to know one another. So it's not as a customer's coming in, but it's family coming home to have a seat at my table.
Now, there's not much a sweet tooth lover can't sink their teeth into, from her supersized cookies to her decadent cupcakes made fresh every day. Now, are we baking fresh every day?
Fresh every day. Fresh every day. So we have our famous red velvet cupcake. Everyone loves the red velvet cupcakes. Yeah, then you have the Almond Joy cupcake, and this cupcake is a rich, decadent chocolate cake, and it's topped with a chocolate ganache. So that is another fan favorite. And then you have, this is my new dessert here, and it is a play on a Reese cup.
Okay.
So I make a chocolate shell, and then I fill that shell with peanut butter mousse. And then we have a vanilla cupcake with a chocolate chip cookie on top, carrot cake. Moist, decadent carrot cake with a cream cheese. Actually, this one has a brown butter cream cheese. Okay. So we did something different here.
Sweet treats aren't the only thing on the menu. Pure Sweet Indulgence is serving up savory soup, sandwiches, and salads. So Queen says,
so basically, come hungry. Come hungry.
He exudes positivity that has touched and helped transform so many lives. Internationally known motivational speaker and author Willie Jolly had no idea his humble beginnings would be the foundation that pushed him to change his life.
I was the half of the class that made the top half possible when I graduated from high school. I was not a great student. I was not on the honor roll. I was not an exceptional person in terms of my academic accomplishments. And so that is what I think is most amazing, and what I think helps me in speaking to people, because I know what it's like to not be highly motivated, an achiever, and yet one day making the decision to change myself.
After graduating from American University, still not sure of his path, he continued singing and performing in nightclubs throughout D.C. for 7 years. And then his life changed.
I had built a very successful nightclub act in Washington, D.C. People would line up at 7 o'clock for the 8 o'clock show, 9 o'clock for the 10 o'clock show. I won the award for Best Jazz Singer, Best Entertainer, Best Performer, the Washington Area Music Association Award 5 times in a row. And then I went in one night and the club owner said, we've made a change. We love you guys. Y'all are great, but we found something cheaper that is filling up nightclubs. We bought a karaoke machine. And I said, what? We got standing room only in audience. He said, but it's a better return on investment. And I was devastated because I built this nightclub act and it was very successful. Yet I still got fired. I got downsized, replaced by a machine. And I said that day, another decision. I'm not going to let anybody else determine my destiny from this day out. And so I took a job with the DC public school system as a drug prevention coordinator. As part of my job, I had to start giving little speeches to kids. And that's where I said, bam, mixing up the entertainment, the motivation, and a way to minister to young people who were struggling with drugs and alcohol and violence and struggling with their self-esteem. And it took off.
He says he found speaking and speaking found him when he was finding his purpose, which opened the door to a whole new world.
That allowed me to be exposed to corporate groups as well as to media people. I got a radio show. It got syndicated. You now can hear me on Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell across America every day on Radio 1 stations. You can also hear me on Sirius XM with my radio show. That led to a book publisher hearing about me, offering me a book deal. I didn't think I could write a book, but he made me an offer that I couldn't turn down. I said, I think I'll write it. I'll try. I wrote a book called It Only Takes a Minute to Change a Life. Became a national bestseller. Then the book that took me globally was A Setback and Set Up for a Comeback. I wrote that book. And then it just took off.
And Jolly strongly believes that out of adversity comes abundance.
Best thing that ever happened to my career was getting fired and replaced by a karaoke machine, which is why I tell people, when you're going through those moments, look for the opportunity. It's there. It's just you got to look a little harder. If I had not taken the chance and made that decision that no one else is going to determine my destiny after someone fired me, then I would have gone and looked for another nightclub job. But it was in that moment that I said, no mas, I'm not doing that again. And you're right. It is in the midst of adversity. Look, it is out of adversity that comes abundance. And that is what we must be mindful of. If you look biblically, it's the greatest biblical stories always happen in the moments of adversity, whether it was Joseph being thrown in a pit and then going into Potiphar's house and then going into the palace, whether it was Daniel in the lion's den who said, I refuse to bow. It's those moments of adversity where you become the best version of you if you refuse to cower to your fears.
He says motivation is like bathing. That's why you must do it every day, because it wears off.
We all need encouragement, everybody. Because we're nicked away all day long from the moment we get up to the moment we go to bed with nothing but bad news. First thing in the morning, we hear how many people got killed, how many fires there were, how many little children got snatched. What's the newest variation of a disease? We just get nicked away all day long. And you need something to counteract that motivation.
In his bestseller, It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life, he has 10 steps to transform your life. And he says it all begins with asking yourself, what do you want?
If you ask most people, what do you want? They'll tell you what they don't want. I don't want to work here, there. I don't want to do this. I don't want to this. That they can't tell you specifically and declaratively what they do want. What do you want? Because how are you going to have a dream come true if you don't have a dream? So if they're stuck, the first point is, what do you want?
His other passion is supporting and helping marriages. Co-authoring a book with his wife of 37 years, Jolly says staying married is a decision.
Decide. Yeah, decide to stay married. Love is an emotion. Emotions change. Marriage is a decision. You decide to stay married. It's a decision, because there's going to be some tough times. There's going to be some rough moments. You decide. That's the truth.
So I asked him, what would he like to accomplish next?
I'm just getting started. And if I keep doing this, if I keep trying and keep working, one day I'm going to be pretty good at this speaking stuff. One day I'm going to be pretty good if I keep working.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of 360. See you next time around the DMV.